Greetings. Steve Grossi here with Towson University Men's Lacrosse Program. First and foremost, I hope you and your family members are doing well during these unprecedented times. Secondly, I would like to thank Coach Shamati and the University of Richmond staff for putting together the Coaching Through Cancellation platform. It is an honor to be affiliated with this initiative. I focus on building a core that has some educational components to it, as well as some drills that can be used whether you're a beginner, middle of the road, or collegiate level player. Whether you're a youth coach, a high school coach, or a collegiate coach, maybe there's some drills in here that are beneficial for you as well. I hope you enjoy. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Stay safe, all right, stay healthy, and stay active.
I chose the topic of building a core for two reasons. First, it is extremely important for athletes, no matter what sport, no matter what position you play, to develop a strong athletic stance. Second, the drills we will cover are able to be done without many resources. They can be done in your yard, in a parking lot, in a basement, etc. Although these drills may seem simple and tedious, I can assure you if you commit to the smaller details of development, you will find success in your process. Moving forward, my goal is for you to take away one piece of information, whether that is a drill or a term, and apply it to your developmental routine. In terms of building an athletic core, we will first discuss our defensive stance. We must start by truly understanding what a defensive stance is and why it is a key characteristic of being an elite defender, ultimately creating an elite team defense. Our defensive stance is our ready position. It equates to the offensive triple threat position. In reference to one of the best NBA players of all time and Philadelphian, Kobe Bryant, we will refer to our defensive stance as our Mamba stance. The reason being, in Kobe's book, The Mamba Mentality, which I would highly recommend, Kobe shares the photo and his personal analysis of his 1v1 matchup versus Michael Jordan. He discusses his defensive stance and self-admittedly mentions Jordan has all the control in this specific photo. One simple double move and Kobe will lose his position. Knowing this, Kobe had the self-awareness and elite mindset as an NBA player to fix the problem by focusing on the core of his defense, his defensive stance. This is why we will refer to our defensive stance as our Mamba stance. When building our Mamba stance, we will look at our athletic posture. There are 4 points of emphasis within our athletic posture. First, our wide base. We want to make sure our feet are shoulder width or slightly outside of our shoulder frames. Most importantly, we want to make sure we can find ourselves in a comfortable stance, creating a low center of gravity. Next, we will analyze our balanced stance. We must have the ability to have great body control. Okay, we have to be able to manage our body weight. In order to do so, we want to make sure that all of the weight is on the balls of our feet, which is the area right behind your toes. We want to make sure our knees are slightly bent, ultimately being above your toes. Notice Kobe's knees are forward past his toes, whereas Jordan's knees are above his toes. Lastly, you should be able to fit a piece of paper between your heel and the ground. Notice Michael Jordan's right foot. The third point of emphasis we like to discuss is having our tail down. In order to have our tail down, we will sink our hips and bend our knees, creating a low center of gravity. Last but not least, we talk a lot about having our chin up. This creates a straight back, and allows us to have our chest up, ultimately creating our elite Mamba stance. We must understand that an elite Mamba stance is extremely hard. Maintaining an elite Mamba stance will challenge our internal mental and physical effort, discipline, and focus for extended periods of time. Now that we know what a Mamba stance is, we must understand why it is important to have an elite Mamba stance. First and foremost, having an elite Mamba stance makes you as well as your team better. How? A Mamba stance puts you in the most optimum position to move in any direction. It allows you to have control of your own movements. Not only does it allow you to have control of your own movements, but it allows you to move in an efficient, quick manner, forward, backward, lateral, diagonal. Okay. In regards to making the team defense better, we will analyze the tangible versus intangible. Okay, the tangible being your ability to close out to a shooter. Okay, winning your one-on-one matchup within the context of a defense. Okay, that is why it will make you a better tangible defender. Based on intangibles, it creates more awareness. It allows you to read verbal and nonverbal cues of both the dodger as well as the on-ball defender. It allows you to anticipate and create better decisions, okay, and it allows you to multitask more efficiently. The first drill we will discuss is our magic square progression. Our magic square progression is a drill that we introduce and execute during the beginning stages of our defensive implementation plan. It is a drill we use to challenge ourselves both physically as well as mentally. There are 4 progressions we go through: forward and backward, lateral, diagonal, and then a box motion. Our points of emphasis are that of the Mamba stance. We want to make sure we have a wide base, all right, and a comfortable stance. We want to make sure that our feet are about shoulder width or slightly outside of our shoulder width frame. We want to make sure we have a balanced stance. Okay, we have great body control. We have the weight on the balls of our feet. We want to make sure we have a low center of gravity. Okay, our tail is down, our knees are bent, our knees are slightly above our toes. All right. We want to have our chin up, our chest up, and our back straight, creating an elite Mamba stance. To start the drill, you want to find an area of the field where 2 lines cross. Here, we're in the alleyway as well as the 15 and 20-yard line of the football field. Our first progression is forward back. We just focus on keeping our tail down, chin up. Okay, we want the weight on the balls of our feet. All right, we want to have our elbows at 90 if we're a short stick, and if we're a pole, we want to keep our cushion. But this is just really to get comfortable in our stance moving forward and backwards. Our next progression is our lateral progression. It's important that we're explosive off the outside foot where the weight of our body is on the balls of our feet, and we just want to touch and go on the inside foot. Okay, we want to be as explosive and as efficient as possible, and as we move, we want to make sure that our pad level stays low. Okay, our eyes stay up, and we use our peripherals as we move laterally across the field. Next is our diagonal. Okay, similar to that of our lateral, we want to be explosive. We want to keep our tail down, our chin up, our knees are bent slightly above our toes. Okay, we want to be fluid in our motions and efficient moving diagonally across the field. We want to make sure our hips, our toes, our shoulders, our eyes, everything stay forward, although our foot relationship is slightly off on the diagonal. Our last progression we call is our inside footwork. This is just a box movement, okay, that we utilize in a variety of our footwork routines. Okay, this is a specific routine that we tend to see throughout the entire defensive stance, okay, pretty consistently. Similar to that of all the other routines, we want to make sure that we focus on our elite Mamba stance as we move through our interchange. The next drill we will discuss is our box footwork progression. The box footwork progression can be done in a variety of ways, and we will analyze 2 different progressions with the same points of emphasis. Our points of emphasis as we go through the progression are very simple. We want to be explosive, which means we want to drive off of the line, arriving at the cone as fast as we can, breaking down with short, choppy steps. As you begin to arrive on a cone, okay, you want to start to break down, and your steps should become choppier and shorter. All right. As we move throughout the different progressions, all right, we talk a lot about our movement interchange. Okay, we want to make sure that our pad level stays low, we maintain our body control, and we use our peripherals, okay, to identify the cone or the flag the object that we need to use in order to change our movement. All right. I love this drill simply due to the fact that you can use it as an individual development drill. Okay, you can also use it for positional or bigger groups as well. Here's an example of our small box footwork progression 1. Each box is 5 yards by 5 yards. We have 2 boxes to accommodate 2 groups. If you're in your backyard, okay, you can use other objects if you don't have any cones, a football, a glove, a ball, in replace of the cone. All right. As we go through our progression, our points of emphasis do not change. 1, we want to be explosive off the line. We want to explode out 5 yards and break down at the initial cone. When we break down, we want to have short, choppy steps, okay, arriving with our tail down, our chin up, the weight on the balls of our feet, okay, our back straight in our elite Mamba stance. Once we arrive at that stance, we want to maintain that stance consistently throughout the movements and the interchanges of the box. Here is an example of our box footwork progression 2. Each box is still 5 yards by 5 yards. Our footwork progression changes. We will transition from a breakdown to a diagonal crossover run. Our points of emphasis still stay the same. We want to be explosive, driving off the line, staying low. Once we arrive broken down with short choppy steps at our elite Mamba stance, we will transition into a crossover run. On our diagonal crossover run, it's imperative that we maintain a heel-to-toe relationship, ensuring that our feet do not cross. Continuing with our elite Mamba stance, we want to make sure our pad level stays low, and we use our peripherals not to run into others. The last drill we will discuss is our zigzag footwork drill. Our zigzag footwork drill primarily focuses on defending the ball above the goal on an angle. Similar to that of the box footwork progression, you can use this drill for individual development or positional, bigger group development. Our example will be shown as a defensive positional group incorporating other players as cones. This is a great way to have our guys train themselves on finding a contact area of their opponent, establishing our foot-to-shoulder relationship, as well as focus more on the overall development of on-ball defense. Our points of emphasis moving through our zigzag footwork are pretty similar to our box footwork. We want to be explosive and break down. Okay, we start to incorporate more of our defensive concepts of our foot-to-shoulder relationship, okay, but our main focus still is our efficient footwork and having an elite Mamba posture as we go through the interchange of our footwork progression. Here's an example of our zigzag footwork progression drill. Our zigzag footwork progression drill is set up with cones 5 yard by 5 yard increments down the field in a zigzag. The zigzag footwork progression changes our angle of approach, but our points of emphasis are still the same. On our rep, we want to make sure that we explode off the line and we arrive at the cone or the opponent broken down in our elite Mamba stance, similar to that shown on the screen. From there, we will progress to our footwork progression of a back shuffle, lateral shuffle, crossover run, inside footwork drill. Each player will get 3 reps down the line, ultimately replacing the last player behind the cone. Once the last player behind the cone gets replaced, he will bump down, allowing us to filter back through the main entry point, beginning your rep. Throughout this, make sure you maintain an elite stance. As you perform these different routines, challenge yourself to execute the proper technique of the Mamba stance. Work on a build-up progression. Start at 60%, build up to 80%, ultimately ending at 100%. really focus on the details of the stance. We need to be able to crawl before we walk, before we run, and our build-up progression will allow us to do so. Secondly, attack each rep with great intent, focus, and purpose. Lastly, this is a great opportunity for you to earn a competitive advantage. Remember, elite Mamba position equals the optimum athletic position. Most importantly, as we continue to transition through these unpredictable times, get creative in your development, challenge yourself and your siblings, have fun, be safe, and stay active.